What's going on, TubeU? Welcome back to the Plot Coalition YouTube channel. Today, we are going to be working on some animation. It's a very special animation, one that I've been excited to do. So we're going to focus up on creating that animation for the film. And it's going to be a pretty good time. I'm going to turn down my music a little bit because I don't want it to do any feedback on you guys. We'll get into what that is. This should be the last week that we're on the bad webcam. I'm almost done setting stuff up, which is exciting, but just been busy. Annie X, Brood Commander, good to see you both here. All right, so let's talk about the animation that we're doing today. So let's swap over here. Okay. Are you gonna add Seif? Yes, there will be Seif in the film. Maybe not in the way you're expecting, but they will be in the film. But so this is the shot we're gonna do. So it's the one that follows this one. I'm playing back on 0.5 speed so we can take a look, have a good idea of what the reference is. I've already recorded the mocap for it, which huge thing. My mocap suit is finally back up and running again, which is just a huge plus. It's been down for like 2 months, so I've been animating everything by hand, which has been rough. It's forced me to get the reps in animating by hand, but man, is it just a whole lot easier when you have a motion capture suit to do some of that front work for you. I'm way better at motion capture cleanup than I am at animating. But let's take a look at this. So it's a shot right after this where it cuts this right here as they're shooting up the bugs in the dunes. So our scene is reminiscent, not exact. It's not going to be like a one-to-one recreation. It's more about, just getting the vibe. And, we'll actually have the mags in the guns in ours. So that's one thing we can hold over this trailer. So I've already got the mocap for it. We'll animate the camera for now, but I might go in and redo it with a virtual camera later on. But that's what we're going to be focusing on. So starting on one diver, shooting up on the right, camera pans over their shoulder, puts them right side of the frame, and reveals the other diver, sun coming like straight on towards them. That's the vibe we're going for. That's what we're gonna create. So I'll get this closed down. I'm gonna just set this browser off to the side, just in case I need to pull it back for reference. For now, we'll put it away. Okay. So I've got the scene right here. I've already imported the motion capture, retargeted it, so we can get right into getting the animation done. And I brought in a couple of bugs into the sequence as well. Just to start, they'll kind of be like our main interaction ones. Same thing with the divers. I also have some additional motion capture that I can use if needed. But to keep you all entertained, to keep the conversation going, I'm only gonna try to animate for like an hour tonight because I have a pretty big day tomorrow, pretty long day. Turn on the foliage for a second so I can see where all the plants are. Make sure we're not sticking some bugs directly in some plants. Then we'll shut it back off once we... I mean, there's not very tall foliage, so we can shut it off. Keep performant. I think we're running right now at 120 frames per second, so I'd like to keep it that way. But Unreal Engine 5.6 just got fully released. They're doing Oh, Echo November Delta. I'm very sad to say, fish passed away a few months ago. She was not doing good. She was indeed just a feeder fish. That's what my son wanted to get from the pet store. And so she lived much longer than she was supposed to. But unfortunately, she is no longer with us. But with the new office set up, the goal is to get another fish cam up and running. Just got to get the fish. And I got to get cleaner water for it. But we'll get it back up now that we're in the new space. But unfortunately, she did not make it. Which was sad too, because I literally cleaned her tank. We had noticed she wasn't doing too good, and we were like, well, maybe if we do like a good tank clean, maybe that's it. But that didn't end up helping. But anyway, Unreal Engine 5.6. They're doing Unreal Fest right now, which is just like, you know, Unreal's Epic's version of like NAB, or, you know, I was gonna say E3, but E3 is not a thing anymore. It's kind of like the Game Awards. It's just like a tech show, like, you know, how Apple does their things. It's Unreal Engine's version of that. So they're doing that right now, and they just like fully unveiled Unreal Engine 5.6, and there's a lot of cool stuff in it. Typically I try to avoid like jumping or upgrading into a software, like either on the first version, if I have like room to experiment with it, I'll tinker with it. But right now, I'm hanging back on it. But there's a lot of cool stuff in Unreal Engine 5.6 that I could definitely use for this. One of the really cool things is that they have an animation system where like you can have one of these guys and have a rig set up for them, and then to animate them you just drag the point and it automatically uses locomotion to pull the legs, which is something I've always wanted in Unreal, and I didn't understand why it wasn't in there, because that's just how driving a video game character works. But they added it as an animation tool, which is super cool. And they have a bunch of other really cool stuff. What do I think about the upcoming War Bond? I think it's pretty cool. I love corny 80s action. You know, Kung Fury. Kung Fury vibes. So I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I love the idea of it. This is supposed to be 66 frames, so maybe we'll go for 74. No, do not share while schedule. Windows is like, you need to update. And I'm like, no. I am I've gone back and forth on updating to Linux. I've been on the fence. But every day I'm pushed a little closer. So start here with him. Brah, brah, brah. At that point, we're turning this way towards her. But yeah, they have a lot of cool stuff in Unreal Engine 5.6. They did like a demo with like The Witcher 4, which I'm torn on, because like on one hand there's people who are like, duh, it wasn't real gameplay, and there's part of me that's like, yeah, of course it's not real gameplay. Like it's a tech demo. It's the same thing as they do every year. They always do a tech. They don't show actual gameplay. It's not a thing about The Witcher. The Witcher is a conduit to like get more buzz and more eyeballs. But it's kind of like that when The Last of Us 2, when they did the tech demo of that, that wasn't anything that was gameplay. You know, it's similar in that way. But I do understand, like, there is a degree where there was enough of it where they, like, it was teetering a little bit too much into, like selling it as what the game is going to be. And I can understand being a little bit upset about that. Because I think the game will run really well. Well, who knows? CD Projekt Red, you really need to redeem yourself for me. But yeah, I think okay, I did only do that twice. I'm gonna have her start a little bit later, just so she's moving up more. Okay. But yeah, like I did watch it, and I was watching it as like an Unreal Engine thing. I was like, oh cool, they can do all this, and it is running in real time. Is it the game? I never like felt that impression, but then when I started seeing like the back and forth about it online, I was like, I can see where you get confused, but also like it is, at least to me, I'm like, it's so obviously a tech demo. Like, I think it was supposed to be more of just like, look at what the engine is capable of, not that the game is going to be this way. But they have announced like a lot of really cool things. I did the wrong, I guess we're doing, well, I don't really want to do her first. I want to do him first, so I know like what the end of his animation and the start of hers is going to be. That's first the camera going around. But yeah, you know, I definitely went into it with the mindset of, yeah, this is like cool tech, but I know not everybody does. But in the same vein, there was a little bit where I was like, okay, it's not the full thing, guys. Because they've always done like a tech demo like that at Unreal Fest. I think last year's was like the Electric Dreams one, which was like, turn that off. Which like that was like to show like the procedural environments, which was cool. But I have a buddy who's making a Star Wars film, which if you don't follow Cryptic Studio on YouTube, you should definitely do that. But he's making a Star Wars film that's super cool, but he's using that demo for like his Unreal Engine scene. And I had suggested some render settings to him. I was like, oh, like you should, you know, try throwing this on your renders. Like it'll make them super clean. This, that, and the other thing. And he went to render it, and he was like, dude, this is rendering like a frame an hour. What are you doing to my computer? And the Electric Dreams, like it runs so well because it's using nanite and everything. But yeah, once we kind of narrowed it down, it just like turned out, because it wasn't running in real time and it wasn't like, you know, trying to condense anything with like nanite. It was just like full blast trying to render out that entire demo, and it was choking hard. But do I speak Spanish or just English? I just speak English. I'm sorry. I wanted to learn Spanish in high school, and my mom, bless her heart, thought it would be more valuable for me to learn Latin. So I took like 3.5 years of Latin. And I was like, Mom, this is a dead language. I don't want to learn Latin. She was like, yeah, but if you learn Latin, you can learn any language. I was like, Mom, I don't think I'm going to learn a language after high school. And lo and behold, here I am, barely know English. It's tough too, because I used to, I moved to Texas for a little while. And so there were multiple instances where I was like, ugh. Man, I sure wish I knew what was going on. Living in Texas, though, I didn't learn Spanish, but I was around enough like Spanish speaking people that I don't speak the language, but I can be in the same room and like get a rough idea of what's being talked about if it's in Spanish. But I do not know Spanish at all. Not enough to where like I would ever be comfortable speaking it. So I do apologize. Really supposed to turn the elbow out like that, but we'll cheat it just this once. So let's see here. We're gonna aim for this guy down here. This control rig is so good. Holy. I can't believe I passed up so many opportunities to do it this way. 2 languages, English and bad English. Hey, Spencer. Good to have you here. Yeah. No, that's me. Yeah, so our project, it's not a series. It is a film. Technically qualifies as a short film, but it's 50 minutes long, so not too short. But yes, that is what it's for. And it's funny because I have considered like a couple times. I'm like, is this like something that could be turned into a series? Like, you know, do I work on it in chunks and release the chunks as, you know, they're ready? And ultimately, like, there's a few things of like why I want to push against that. And one of the main things is like something that goes back to when I was making the Titanfall series, because I thought about the same kind of thing. I was like, do I just do like an episode at a time and, you know, release it that way? You know, that was something I was contemplating for a bit, and ultimately I chose not to do that because I know there are so many series that I follow, like fan series or like indie animation things, where like they'll do that and it'll have like all the traction, and then they'll set like an expectation, and then they'll like release another episode and it's like a little bit better, and then everybody's like, oh man, and then like it just like exponentially outpaces itself, and it like either never gets fully released or like, you know, it starts to fall apart, which is always like really sad. I think the only person I've seen do it successfully that way is Ian Hubert with Dynamo Dream. I think that's like the closest I've seen of that, like working in that way. But I don't want to be in that position where, you know, like it has to feel that way. So I'm a bigger proponent of, yeah, it takes a little bit longer, but you know, the finished film is more worth it than, you know, trying to release it in chunks and whatnot, which does, like, you know, have its drawbacks, because I do want to like share it with everybody, and like be able to show you guys more. But it is just one of those things where it's just gonna, you know, it's gonna take the time that it takes. You know, I'm very committed to the October release, and so having a full film in that time, you know, will be, I mean, it's still crazy how fast we're able to just make films, and have them done in that way. Like, that's still kind of crazy to me. And just like how much Unreal and new technology has allowed that to happen is super cool. But yeah, it just, you know, it just needs that time. All right, that feels pretty good. The feet I'm not like as worried about, because as we can pull the reference back up, as we can see here, like this is like really like waist up. Even this person, you only really go down to their knees. I thought there were more Helldivers in that shot, so I recorded more mocap, but maybe I was thinking of the shot like this one right here. There's a good few of them, but then here it's mostly just them with the bugs. Yeah, it's just those two, which works for the context of what's happening in the story in this moment. There is supposed to be like a more like full scale like battle attack going on, but I think if there's the visual noise of all the bugs, I think it'll work. So let's just, it's looking pretty good. It's good pace too. Maybe just like, we'll drop a couple of these in here. This little recoil bounces. Maybe we'll add one more here. So they're very subtle, but they do add a good bit, especially when, you know, like you're behind it and there's the cape simulation and all that. Definitely goes a long way. So, all right, we will save this. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the new War Bond. Will I get it right away? Probably not. I don't know. But I do love, you know, that sort of thing. I think it's great. All right, let's delete all of these. All of these. We'll attach his hand to the front. If I wanted to be real authentic, I would add a stubby grip. Yeah, the only Warbond that I've spent money on and bought was the cowboy one. That's the one that suckered me. Cowboys and dinosaurs. But 80s cop, that is close. I think my main thing with like choosing like a Warbond to get is like, I think the biggest thing to me is it does need to have some practicality, right? So like, you know, the outlaw one, for example, like the hover pack and the sidearm, I can't quite remember the name of it, but like those alone, those were worth the Warbond. And the skins were pretty cool too. And there was another, like a few other things in it, like really, really solid. But then like, you know, this upcoming one and the Masters of Ceremony, lots of cool stuff in there. But not having like as much equipment made it like that for me is like, that's hard to justify. But I literally just got chemical agents, because I also like, I try to just earn the super credits to get war bonds, because it makes me like think about it for a long time, and I like having like, you know, a little bit of that trying to, you know, figure it out. I kind of like that. But with like chemical agents, like I made it like a mission. I was like, I need to unlock it before the Illuminate, you know, event is over, before the Super Earth event is over. So I grinded to get it, and then I got it and did all gas loadouts, and I had so much fun. I think that's like that's the big thing for me, is like, I just need to find ways to make it fun. All right, the stock is clipping, but I don't think we're gonna see it, so I'm going to ignore for now. I normally don't play for practicality. I throw in whatever I think is gonna make my guy look pretty cool. I'm a sucker for immersion. Absolutely, and that's actually why, for me, a lot of times, um, like I'll run a practical like build or something I think looks cool. Like I have a few go-tos um, for different looks and whatnot. This looks pretty good. Let me check that. Pull Vector IK. We'll just pull these out and delete that. Watch it from the front real quick. I think that looks pretty good for being behind the shoulder. It looks a little weird here. But like you're not going to see any of that. So I'm not too worried about this side. But for that exact same reason, I did this a lot when I was playing Titanfall as well. Like I'll either go into like a game like as like one of the characters that we have in it, or I'll just run like a very like default Helldiver build. So B01, you know, gear all the way, and just like, you know, like really basic things like orbital strike. Usually it's something like orbital strike, eagle air strike. Maybe something like an autocannon or just the standard machine gun, and like a machine gun turret or something like that. And I like you know, that side of that. There is part of me that wishes you could assign some passives to like exclusive passives to the like regular B01 Helldiver armor, just so more people would wear it. I was in a Discord server for a while that did like it was a whole like military sim thing, and I ran some games in there, and one of my rules was that like everybody had to wear the exact same armor type, because I thought it just like looked cleaner, looked cooler, and it was always like just fun to see like everybody like pop in. It was the armor that the other characters wear, and I'll show you in just a second. HD4 and alright, and we'll delete. So this right here, where it's like weighted on the left side, it's the same way that I built my my cosplay armor. Yeah, I definitely feel like they should. I don't think it should like be sorry, I'm trying to figure out. We'll roll with it. Thinking to myself. What was I gonna say? Oh, about the armor passives. I definitely don't think you should be able to like just like interchangeably like swap it around, but like if there were like some individual perks that like you could side or like assign even to the helmets, like, you know, like the helmets don't have any perks, so like if there was like just even a perk you could give your helmet, Like that'd be kind of cool. And like I think it should have like a trade-off, you know, like if you're like slightly more accurate but you get less stamina. Um or you get like more stamina or you're a little bit faster but like you know, your aim's not as good or you can't throw things as far. Like I feel like little balances like that could be kind of cool. But it is kind of a shame that like all the B01 armor is limited. Which like I get it. Like you get it in the War Bond and it's you know, it has that perk. I do understand, but early on there was a helmet that gave a minor bonus, but I think it long got patched out. It must have, because I don't remember anything about that. I do remember seeing speculations about that for the I think it is either Liberty Day or when the Illuminate released, but like the all silver one. Oh, it was a day one bug. Interesting. So wait, Spencer, do you have the ambassador of the brand? AKA our cadet? Do you have that armor? Because that is one, as much as I would love to have it, they need to keep that as a pre-order item. I think they either need to keep it as a pre-order item, or they can they can re-release it alongside of the film. So our film comes out like I think the day before. I think they should do that, and you know, we can provide them with the stickers that we put on the cadet's helmet. And if they want to use that, I think that would be the only acceptable time to re-release Ambassador of the brand. But otherwise, keep it exclusive. As much as I'd like to have it, there is something about getting in a game in that blue armor showing up and just being like, dang, he is him. Or whatever the meme is. Yeah, I'm very excited to release the film, and we've been hard at work on it. But man, like the new animation pipeline is like a bajillion times better than what we've done in the past. I still give the Red Dead film a slight pass because that was more about doing all the motion capture with the actors and stuff, and like having it almost like unfold like a play in a way. But this new animation system and the way we've built it from the ground up is so much better, but it takes a long time because like the way that I animated New Frontiers, you know, that was basically I would have a scene, and like the way that I have it down here, like a timeline, I would do an entire scene in one timeline and just like jam as much as I could in there. There were a couple of exceptions, but generally speaking, that is how I made all of New Frontiers. Wildly inefficient, but extremely fast. The fact that, so if you want an idea of like the fidelity of this versus New Frontiers took 19 months. 19 months for New Frontiers, and it's 3 hours long. Okay? And I was the only animator. That's another thing. I was the only animator, 3 hours long. Yada, yada, yada. For Liberty, a Helldivers film is 50 minutes. And if we keep it on schedule and it comes out when it's supposed to, it will have been in development for 14 months. So 5 months less, right? Yeah. 5 months less, but it's not even a third of the length. So it'll look better. It'll have a lot more to it, and there's more animators working on it. So one of the animators that is doing stuff on here, he has been a madman creating animations for this film, and he's done a beautiful, wonderful job. Here, one second, I'll show you like this last animation that he had done for the film. How do I... Let me just download it real quick, because I don't want to like dox him or anything. But this was an animation he sent me earlier today. It's part of like a larger animation that he's doing, but he animated this like entirely by hand, and he's super good, and he's done so many animations for this film, and I'm able to just give him like you know, a lot of the more complex stuff, or like the very stunt heavy stuff, and he's just been absolutely killing it, which is great, because then like I'm way better at like directing like what I want out of something like that than like directing what I would want in like a dialogue scene. So like a dialogue scene, I have like so many of the nuances like in my head that those are kind of hard to communicate as far as how they'll happen. And I've tried it a few times, and it's just like not worked out as well as me just doing the motion capture and, you know, doing that entirely by myself, because I know a little bit like more of like what that blocking is in my head. But for action scenes and stuff, like being able to pass those off and like give an animator like, you know, take as much time as you need to do this, you know, just goes so much further. I wanted them to make a cape with a child crayon drawing on it after we saved the orphanage. I thought there was like official news on that. There are some things that I think Arrowhead just gets nerfed on, like the review bomb cape. think they came out with something that was like very loosely tied to it, but my guess is Sony probably was like, no. I never had the patience for that kind of animation work, which is why I gave up on Flash many years ago. Yeah, and I'd given up on animation for a long time too. I used to be like, especially when I was a kid, I loved doing stop motion animation. I would like do all these things, and I had like this animation software that like legit just like lets you plug in a webcam and like basically do like onion skinning, is what it's called when you have like you can see the last like frame you did. It was super, super basic. I got it when I was a kid. I loved doing it. And then like, I kind of fell off. I was definitely like in the camp of like, well, I want to make films and like, unless I have like millions of dollars, like animation, like either isn't feasible or like it's too much for kids. Like, I want to be grounded in reality and whatever. And then I remember I had gotten a Blender like forever ago. And that was when like you had to legitimately like type in expressions for like everything that you wanted. And I was like, this is too, like, there's no creativity in this. And I fell off. Stopped doing it. And then Unreal Engine 5 was announced. And I was like, hold up. This is like that but different. And like at the time, like Blender 2.39, I believe, had come out. I started getting in that too. And I was like, whoa, Blender is like way different than I remember. And it just like changed my entire perspective on it. And then I was like, oh, this is like how I make the films and the movies that I've always wanted to make that I haven't been able to. And so that was like a game changer for me. All right, we have some slippage of the feet, but I think the key is to not show the feet. I did a little stop motion when I was a kid. I had this big ass camcorder that took VHS tapes and had a bunch of dinosaur toys. Hey, I remember doing that too. Tons of Lego movies with the VHS tape approach. See how that looks. That looks pretty good. Despite never having the patience for fine animation. I was the only one in my class that did have the patience for syncing audio to lip movement. Yeah, that's always a rough one. I will say, I think I have a special knack. I've had to sync some of the worst like circumstances for footage. Like I've been in situations where like I've had to sync things with like somebody on stage and when they blinked, and sync things to that, like multicam and stuff, or like a certain inflection. I remember I used to do it on like such like, you know, programs weren't as good as they are today at that sort of thing. I got like so many of those reps in. It taught me like so many like shortcuts and things that like anybody like getting into video editing now will just like never get, because they'll never have to go through that. Which, like, thank goodness, you know, they can spend more time doing other creative things. But it definitely like taught me a lot about like, oh, this is like how you might work around or encounter this. This is one thing that I have been, I've talked about it a few times on stream, but even though I have the Rococo Smart Gloves, I've opted not to use them. One, because like I was having some internet issues, and like my mocap would get mixed up using the Smart Gloves, but also just because like they didn't give like the fine results that I wanted. They do a really good job, but the biggest problem is when you retarget to a character, you almost spend more time cleaning up the fingers than it takes to just animate them to do exactly what you want. And there are so many things that I've learned doing it by myself that I'm like, oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. So like here, for example, like in motion and whatnot, I don't need to animate their fingers at all because they're holding something, which like sure they're like could be like a small like, you know, readjust, like that's something you might do there. But in action, it's moving so fast, it's like there's not really like a point in, you know, bothering. Okay, let's fix this foot. I do hate this though. There are times where like the hand IK will just like start doing random things. Like when you're pulling a different part of the body. Let's pull the foot up here. And it broke the hand again. There we go. Okay, I feel like that's pretty good. I think the only thing I'll really do in addition is just point her forward more. The hand's going bananas. Where's her? feel like that's pretty good. Maybe like here, because this is about the time that we'll pan to her. We'll take the head. Oh my word, it did the thing with the hand again. And we'll turn her head first. And then her body will follow. And where's that hand? Up. There we go. Alright. Last time we're dealing with that hand. Stupid hand. What you doing? You do gotta get you a Helldivers helmet. Salty Fennel on Thingiverse. He's got the hookup. It's the best looking 3D printed helmet you can get, because I mean, you have to make it yourself, and you do have to troubleshoot it, but the one from Galactic Armory, all the other armor looks really, really good, but the Galactic Armory helmet, it's not tall enough. It's like too wide. The dimensions are just barely off. And like, I don't think my cosplay is like, I mean, it's nowhere near like the greatest thing in the world, but that is something that like I'll get often. It's like, whoa, the helmet looks like identical. I'm like, because it is. It's straight out of the game. And so many other people just have the wider, more like stout one from Galactic Armory. All right, HD3 and perfect. All right, so we just passed an hour, but we've got all our mocap cleaned up. We've got our animations, and now we just gotta like throw some animations on the bug, get the camera in there, and add a couple of other like quick things. But then like this will be good to go. So I think we can maybe go for like another 20 minutes to see where we're at. So first things first. Let's also add the Liberator. And just when we're shooting. That's not the one I'm thinking of. Oh, that must be something else. Goodness, which one of these is it? Unless these are broken for some reason. There's like one of these that's only like 3 frames long. I think that's the one. Yep. It's just the dust flap. There we go. It's the dust flap and the slide charge. I thought it was the slide. Maybe not. Maybe that's a different gun I'm thinking of. No matter. Slides don't do that anyway. Just on the reload to rack the round. Wait, no. They would do that. I don't know. Don't do a lot of aiming. I'm like, it really depends on what I'm running. Stalwart, never aiming, dude. Oh, this one has the slide. I think it'll work for now. All right. I didn't start using the crossbow a lot until the Illuminate like keep the ships off the ground missions. But they can one-shot the ships. So like if I run with like a full grenade loadout, I'll take that. All right. Like mentioned before, for now we'll do a digital camera. We'll see how it feels. And then see about doing a virtual camera later. So I think I'm going to do this on a 50. Because if we go back to our reference... This looks like somewhere between a 35 and a 50 mil. So for now, I'm going to say 50, and then we'll see. So, maybe we'll go f3.5. So we'll try to stay like right behind his shoulder, kind of like it does in the cinematic. Maybe we'll lay off of him a little bit here. And by the time we're getting up here, we can be transitioning fully to her, but this is where the biggest problem arises, which I was a little worried about, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. But it's that she is not in the right spot. have that crunchy cinematic detail. I'm curious to know how far off the ground she is right now. As long as it looks good. Wasp. You should know. Fish cam is unfortunately gone. We lost the fish many months ago. Alright, this is like very, very basic blocking. I don't like how long it takes to transition to her. And then I'll show you guys an extra little treat. Animation's going good. Just been busy. But do we think the Super Destroyer technician will be back? Brother, she got sent to Super Earth and gone. That's my take. Gave it her all for the 10 minutes she was active duty. All right. Let me set this to 0. So this, I don't think is like quite production ready, but it does save me time on light, which is nice. See this? Gunfire. And it's supposed to do sparks when it hits stuff, but I think I've got that a little bit off. But the idea being that, like, oh, I was turning the wrong way. But the idea being that you can point this in different directions and, you know, get a little visual effects. Let me turn it to 0 for now. Yeah, I did notice that her hat is just sitting there, waiting. I'm telling you, I think she's cooked. I have a feeling we won't be seeing her. I think Arrowhead is gonna just like introduce like a brand new character. before that. I could see them doing it. All right. We'll parent this to the Liberator. And then what's neat about this is I can add that spawn rate. And I can say maybe like 9 and then 0. Yeah, it'll just give me that type burst. Or it's supposed to. So here we go. Maybe it's because I have that on. Could be an engine bug. It must be. But then I could literally copy and paste that into these different slots. I don't know, maybe it'll show up on the render. I'll have to let you know. What it's hitting here, I have no clue. It is not traveling far enough to do that many sparks. I feel like the sparks are a little dramatic anyway. I think the sparks are dramatic and the muzzle flash isn't big enough. Which I could always just go in here, and say make that guy initialize particle. Make that like that's a little big. That feels like a good enough size. That I feel like you can't see at all. Oh, you can a very little bit. Maybe we'll make it 2.5. And maybe for this directional burst, when it hits maybe we will go 150 by 800. And have it spawn maybe as little as 15. That way when those particles bounce, they just look more slightly more realistic. So I don't know if those I'll have to test and see. What I like about the system though is it does like all the light interaction and all that. Like that's getting built in. And then the tracers and the hits are like nice little bonuses when they appear. It did give me some rendering issues last night on a shot, and like, you know, it does look like he's shooting high, but when was the last time a Helldiver was accurate? You get my drift. But yeah, I think I need to just figure out more about making these kinds of systems. I followed a tutorial and like for like a game, I think it works. But I hacked some stuff because I was like, you know, like the muzzle flash looked too consistent. I've always comped muzzle flashes. So like I'm not used to doing them in the game engine, which is a little bit different too. Niagara component, spawn rate. Three, 4, 5. So I'll see if they render the way that they're supposed to. Oh look, direct hit. Am I gonna add emotional scenes? Just you wait. Just you wait. It won't be nearly as like dramatic as New Frontiers was. New Frontiers was like very serious, very dramatic. So it won't be, you know, anything like that, but it'll definitely have like more serious scenes with some of that in there. All right. I don't think I want this first bug to die, but I definitely want him to get kind of annoyed. Does that make sense? That looks pretty annoyed. He's trying to run away. He's not evil. Remember when that was like a thing? People were saying treasonous things like that. This one I think I'm gonna put on that hive guard because he's kind of in the shot for a while. You're not gonna show the background Terminators. Not sure what that means. Watching you work on animations like watching a wizard cast a spell. Yeah, I'm just doing what I can. So what I might do for this other guy, I don't think we need to see any of them particularly die. What's up, WAF? Welcome to the stream. No worries about being late. Hey, I just get excited when you show up. Alright. For now, I'm going to try putting camera shake on here, but I might have to just re-render it later. I think I'm going to just take all the transforms and make them smart. This one... Just gonna pull my curves out a little bit. Sorry, I'm on my drawing tablet. I need to get back into using my drawing tablet more. Like use the pen the way it's designed to be. Whoa. We changed background images on the TV. Now I'm pretty sure it's a Warhammer something. Alright, for now I feel like that looks pretty good. Oh, you're asking if there's going to be more Terminids. Yeah, I mean, I can even add more right now. These are just kind of like the main ones I wanted to get out of the way. Because then I can add... Because, so, like... in principle, like, you first want to, you know, do what you know is going to be in the shot. And then anything that's, like, background, like, you intentionally frame it for the background. So, for example, here, it's like, if we want to have another bug, you know, we know he's probably going to be best here. And he's out of frame by then. So if I go back to... Oh. Where those animations were. We like use this one. Oop. Which like is a little and then maybe we get one more. Which I think this is the same one that the Hive Guard was using. Then, like, right there, way less work. But I knew these front three were going to be like the ones we were looking at. So then, like, you know, maybe I want another one here. So what I'm literally going to do is just duplicate this guy. Hello? There we go. I like these ones in particular because they look so similar. You know, there's nothing particularly special about them. We'll give this guy just entirely new animation. That looks pretty cool. We can even duplicate him. Just put him up on top of this rock. And then maybe oh. Well, does that mean there's two of this guy right here? No. There's two of that guy. I was like, wait. What is happening? You know, even more movement in the back. Something for the homies in the back now, yo. So when would we see this guy? Comes in there. So I'm just gonna add that animation as far out to the end as it goes. Then he's not really well seen there. This is like, you know, where the fun little bits come in, because it's just like, yeah, just like do whatever's fun, you know. Okay, so there's two things I'm not totally sold on. One's gonna be the lighting, which for that, we're just gonna take the sun. And just offset it some. I don't want it so much that it looks inconsistent. But like the way she's lit right now feels a little too head on. Oh, it went behind a planet. Ha! That would be why it looked like that. Open me up for the planet in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest. Gonna go to the place that's the best. So that feels a little bit more like what it does in the trailer. Maybe you can even up the aperture. I mean, that feels pretty cool, lighting-wise. In motion with the plants, and hopefully this lighting is working. Like, that'll look really nice. So, I won't know until I render that. Am I going to add the citizens? There are citizens. Not in this particular scene. Okay, and then the other thing I don't love is the camera movement. I still feel like it's off. And maybe I'm just overcomplicating it. And I just feel like this guy needs to be like right here instead. Maybe him there, and then this guy. Oop. This is the stuff in like filmmaking that I love about Unreal Engine is you can just like art direct like, oh, I think this will look better over here. And that's looking pretty good. For not having anything to this, feels pretty good. I feel pretty good about this shot. So I think what I'm probably going to do is end the stream and then I'll render it out, see how it turned out. But I mean, coming from our reference, I mean, it's looking pretty tight. I think the biggest thing here is that the camera animation is a lot better than what I have going on here, which I think would benefit from either it's just going to be comping on extra camera shake, or you know, doing more of a virtual camera than this. But I think I'm gonna call it there. It's getting late, so I'll hit render. But thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me. It's been a fantastic time. Really glad everybody could come out. If you're not a member, consider becoming one. But if you just want to be a viewer, hey, I'm just happy to have you here. But if you do become a member and link your Discord and your YouTube, you get exclusive access to certain chats in the Discord channel. And that is also where I'm starting to post like snippets of scenes and stuff. So if you want to check those out, you can do so in that channel as we make them. But thank you so much for hanging out, being here, supporting, and I cannot wait to get this film finished and out to you guys. You have a good night.